In a few short weeks, we will be introduced to a brand new Gotham City and a brand new Batman with Robert Pattinson as the Batman. And this whole universe is, of course, being created by Matt Reeves. He directed the Batman. He's working on the upcoming spin-offs for HBO Max, like the Gotham Central series and Penguin and all that other stuff. But what we know about this universe, though, is that it's going to be much, much more grounded than what you're used to in other movies, like, well, for example, like Shazam and Aquaman and like Man of Steel, which obviously, I mean, those characters have like crazy superpowers, but even comparing it to something like Moon Knight, like I know there's a lot of comparisons between Batman and Moon Knight, like, oh, Moon Knight is just, Marvel's Batman basically, but I mean, Moon Knight is much more like supernatural and dealing with that stuff. But Batman, specifically this universe, is going to be very grounded and very realistic, similar to what we got in the Christopher Nolan movies. But this is going to be on a whole other level. Like, literally, everything we've seen based off the trailers for this first movie, pretty much everything could possibly happen in real life. Like, literally, somebody could suit up as the Batman and become a real life Batman. That's something that's always been so cool about the character that I've always absolutely loved. But one of the things that makes that a little hard, though, is because some of the coolest Batman villains that we want to see in live action are a lot less grounded and don't really fit in with the whole realistic setting. Like, for example, Mr. Freeze, which is, of course, probably one of the most famous Batman villains, and one that so many people want to see done justice in live action. We've seen multiple live action versions of this character before. Of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger in Batman and Robin. We also had a version in Gotham. I believe those are the only two versions we've got. I could be wrong. But we want to see Mr. Freeze in the Batman universe, just given what we've seen from like the Riddler and other characters that Matt Reeves has done for this new universe. We want to see what his take on Mr. Freeze would be like, just because Mr. Freeze is such a great character. He's such a complex character that I feel like he could really be done well in this franchise. And apparently Matt Reeves himself even wants to do this, because he did a recent interview with Collider where this is what he had to say. In my view, I just feel drawn to finding the grounded version of everything. So to me, it would be a challenge in an interesting way to try and figure out how that could happen. Even the idea of something like Mr. Freeze, that's such a great story, right? I think there's actually a grounded version of that story, which could be really powerful and could be really great. That right there, I love it. I think that is amazing, because if you think about it, like, you could do kind of a grounded version of Mr. Freeze. Obviously, not super grounded. I mean, thinking about it realistically, like, cryo freezing is, like, a real thing in real life. So they could, like, feature stuff like that. But also, when it comes to grounding the character more, I feel like something you could do to change the character a bit is just focus more on the love story, because that's Mr. Freeze's whole motivation, is his love for his wife, Nora Freeze. That's why he does everything he does, is because he is trying to save his wife. So you could really hearken in on that love for his wife and almost do like a romance story, like a love story. I think that would be honestly awesome to see. I feel like that could actually fit in really well with this universe. The only thing is, though, when it comes to the character of Mr. Freeze, I really want to see him in live action. I want to see him done justice. But I feel like I would honestly prefer to see him get his own solo origin story movie, similar to what we got with Joker, possibly even connecting to the Batman universe, but at least to give him his own story where you can build up that whole love story and that whole relationship and romance between him and his wife, and then just his downfall into basically becoming a mad scientist and becoming officially Mr. Freeze, and then maybe you could have him go on to be a villain in a Batman movie. But either way, I want to see this character. This is one of my favorite Batman villains. He's such a great, complex character that would really fit in so well with Robert Pattinson's Batman, just the whole vibe that Matt Reeves is going for, and especially if Matt Reeves already has an idea here of what he could do for a little bit more of a grounded version of the character of Mr. Freeze. Maybe this means he's already working on ideas that Mr. Freeze will be the villain of the Batman too. We don't know for sure yet, but hey, it is totally possible. I actually did a video months ago about rumors that the Batman 2 was already greenlit, it's already happening, and that Mr. Freeze would be the villain. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I think this is a great idea. I would love to see Mr. Freeze in this universe. I would prefer a solo movie first, but hey, I'll take it anyone I can get it. So anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. What do you think about this news that Matt Reeves has some ideas to do a grounded version of Mr. Freeze in a Batman sequel? And do you want to see this character done in the Batman 2 or the Batman 3 or at some point in this franchise? So guys, thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video and hit the subscribe button so I can keep it to date on everything that goes on in the DC life.